सर, दोबारा स्टार्ट करेंगे. स्टार्ट इट. Sir, as honorable members are well aware, the production of coffee is of great importance not only to the coffee consumers but also to the national interest of the country. It is a fact that not only the internal consumption of coffee has increased but also Indian coffee is loved for its quality in outside countries. Though it is not an export commodity bringing in foreign exchange in very large dimensions, it does not bring in a fairly good income to the growers, and it is in our interest to develop the coffee industry. With that view, we have brought forward this measure, and we are making principally two structural alterations or amendments in the original scheme of the Coffee Board. Taking the amendments sought to be made by this bill serially, I would first invite attention to clause 6 of the bill, which deals with the structure of the new board. There is also the provision for the appointment of the chairman of the board by the government. This has been the subject matter of some controversy, as honorable members are quite aware, and I would like to deal with that matter quite briefly. I shall also be happy to give my reactions to such observations as may be made during the course of the debate. I has been considered in certain quarters that government in introducing this amendment is trying to do something unjust to the growers. Firstly, the original act contained a provision for the election of the growers' organizations by panels. That was the understanding underlying the amending bill. This is one sore point, and I might start with that observation from now. Really speaking, government could have absolutely no interest in affecting the growers adversely. We cannot kill the goose that lays the golden egg. If we kill the industry, no one could hope to have a development in this industry. No doubt, sometimes things happened in the past and they made government come to the conclusion that the Coffee Board at that time did not do all in its power to see to it that the prices were under control. We have to strike a sort of golden mean. It is not that only the growers' interests are supreme, but I am quite sure that whereas the growers' interests have to be important, the interests of the consumers have also to be taken into account. Take the tariff commission, for instance. It goes into the cost of production of indigenous production and also find out the import price of an imported product. If the import value of an imported article is rupees 30 and the cost of production of a local article is rupees 20, the commission tries to cover the gap of rupees 10 and add a little more so that the indigenous product may not work with an initial disadvantage vis-a-vis the imported product. that is what they do. So, in the case of productive industry, it goes without saying that the margin to the grower should be important and should be a sufficient incentive, but then we have to look at other factors also. Take the case of silk, for instance. Silk is a relevant example. Supposing we stop all imports, the growers might get rupees 58 or rupees 60 per kilo, whereas the tariff commission price would be round about rupees 32 per kilo, giving a margin for the handicap sustained by local production. If prices soar high, they have a deleterious effect on industry, though for the time being, persons in charge of particular concerns may profit by it today and tomorrow. This is not beneficial from the long range point of view, and in as much as we want this coffee industry to develop in the long run into a very prosperous industry, not only to satisfy the internal needs, but also to satisfy our exports as much as possible, we must take effective and proper steps, just as we must see to it that the grower gets a proper margin. It is equally important to see that the growers' prices are not such as would result in prejudice to the particular industry in the long run. In the near future, it may be advantageous for us to do that. During the current year, we could find it possible to increase the quota because production was higher than before, and we want to go ahead further than we did so far in increasing production. Maybe if production increases, we might be able to do it, and we would be very happy to give as great a quota as possible because it naturally helps the industry. But we have to look after the internal consumer also. We cannot neglect the interests of the internal consumer. We believe also in coffee spreading to other parts. Recently in Parliament House, we have seen how popular coffee is growing day by day, not only hot but also cold. There should be further expansion in the activities of the Coffee Board. Sir, this is a bill which naturally commends itself for acceptance by all right-thinking men. The principle of recall is one of the fundamental principles of unfettered democracy, and it has been explained by facts and figures by the honorable mover of this bill that this principle should be incorporated in the constitution of our country. He has not expressed any hurry. So, he has said that he is prepared to accept the verdict of the people and this bill be circulated for eliciting public opinion. As far as public opinion is concerned, we know that it is predominantly in favor of such an article being incorporated in our constitution because the public think that they are the masters of the land. But unfortunately, owing to certain constitutional difficulties, they do not have their say in matters of importance. Sir, our constitution naturally is not the final word in constitution thinking or constitution making. We are all familiar with the circumstances in which the constitution was framed, and when we talk about the framers of the constitution, we do not have certain abstract personalities or ideas in our mind. We had a definite set of circumstances and a definite set of individuals. ये 100 की स्पीड है, 1040 वर्ड एज पर इसमें लिखे हैं उसके हिसाब से है। इसमें 320 और 321 में से बोला गया, 320 और 321 से बोला गया, 320 के पूरे वर्ड बोले गए हैं और 321 के आपको 200 वर्ड ऐड किए गए हैं। जिसने अच्छा लिखा